Hello everyone, this is Manohar Reddy, Department of Cybersecurity, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today in this session I am going to discuss about different types of attacks like DOS attacks or denial of service attacks, along with that distributed denial of service attacks. So what is meant by DOS attacks? So generally an attack is nothing but what? It is an action that helps to destroy the connections or destroy the systems or destroy the data. So the attacks are used to gain the information about any network or gain the information about any channel or gain the information about any system. So the denial of service attacks are done by the attackers. It is a type of cyber attacks. It is a type of cyber attack in which a malicious actor aims to render a computer or other device unavailable. So the attacker aim is to make the computer or device is to be unavailable. The service needs to be deniable. So it's intended users by interrupting the device's normal functioning. So the device performing a normal function, that normal function is to be denied by injecting these types of attacks. So these DOS attacks typically function by overwhelming or flooding a target machine with requests. So they are going to target on the machine with the help of some multiple flood attacks. So synchronous 1, synchronous 2, synchronous 3, synchronous 4. Like the way different types of floods, different types of requesting floods are targeting on the machine with the requests until normal traffic is unable to process. That results the condition denial of service to the user. That resulting in denial of service condition to the users. So a DOS attack is characterized by using a single computer to launch the attack. So the attacker used to take the single computer to inject or to instruct that computer to attack on the target machine. So attacker is going to give some instructions. To the system, to the target on the mission. So that single instructed system is going to be targeting on the system. But how does a DOS attacks works? So how it works actually? The primary focus of DOS attack is to oversaturate the capacity of targeted mission. So whatever the target mission is there, so that the attacker going to send a multiple requests. So the main thing is to targeting on the system is to oversaturate the capacity of targeting mission. That results automatically the denial of service. It automatically gives a denial of service to the additional requests. So multiple attacker vectors of DOS attacks can be grouped by the similarities. So DOS attacks typically fall in two types of categories. One is buffer overflow attacks and the second one is flood attacks. So one is buffer overflow attacks and the second one is flood attacks. So buffer overflow attacks. So what is meant by buffer overflow attack? So it is an attack type in which a memory buffer overflow can cause a mission. So it causes a mission with the memory buffer overflow to consume all available hard disk space or memory or CPU type. So these buffer overflow attacks are related to the overflow of the disk space or memory or CPU time. This form of exploit often results in sluggish behavior. So sluggish behavior is nothing but every time you have to refresh that system. So that is nothing but sluggish behavior. and system crashes or other deleterious server behaviors resulting in denial of service. So in what cases denial of service will happen means if the server gets slow, if the network gets slow, or if the system gets slow, then the service is to be accessed by the user is to be denied, and it is slow motion. It is a slow motion. So these are the attacks, buffer overflow attacks based on the computer time or memory space, or you can say disk space. So on basis of disk space, memory space, CPU time, these overflow attacks will be happen in the DOS attacks. And next, flood attacks. So by saturating a targeted server with overwhelming amount of packets, a malicious actor is able to oversaturate the server capacity. So by sending multiple flood of packets, the server capacity gets overflow. That results it denies the service. It gives the denial of service. So sending multiple flood of packets leads to the server overflow capacity. So that means it gives a denial service condition. So in order for most of DOS flood attacks to be successful, the malicious actor must have more available bandwidth than the target. So he has to use more space. To make successful attacks on the target machine. So that is about flood attacks. And what are some historically significant DOS attacks? So some of the significant DOS attacks are there in the real time. So what are those actually? So one is Smurf attack. Second one, ping flood attack. And third one, ping of death attack. So a previously exploited DOS attack in which a malicious actor utilizes the broadcast address of vulnerable network by sending spoofed packets. So here the malicious actor, what he can do? Malicious actor utilize the broadcast address of vulnerable network. So the network which is not a securable, he takes that network address as a malicious address and sending spoofed packets that gives the resulting in flood of targeted IP addresses. That gives the result in the flooding of targeted IP addresses. And next one, ping flood attacks. This simple denial of service attack, and it is a simple denial of service attack, is based on overwhelming the targeted with ICMP packets. So ICMP packets are making some requests to the server. So all these ICMP packets sends some overwhelming packets. So by inundating a target with more pings, then it is able to respond to effectively. So that gives a result as denial of service. So these attacks can also be used as a DDoS attack. So this ping flood attacks can be used in both DOS attacks as well as DDoS attacks. And next one, ping of death attacks. So it often conflated with a ping flood attack. A ping of death attack involves sending a malformed packet. So in this, it sends a malformed packet to the target machine. That results deleterious behavior such as system crashes. So by sending that packets to the system will get very slow and it maintains that deleterious behavior. That means indirectly the system gets crashes. So how can you tell if a computer is experiencing the DOS attack? So how can we say that DOS attack is happening in the system? So it can be difficult to separate an attack from the other network connectivity errors. So that is somewhat difficult to find that network connectivity is related with the errors or network connectivity is related with attacks. Or heavy bandwidth consumption. Some characters may indicate an attack is underway. So some characters are going to say that the system is having these DOS attacks or some DDoS attacks. So what are the indicators actually? So the indicators of DOS attacks include typically slow network performance, such as long load times for files or website. So it takes a lot of time to open a files or load files or load websites. And the inability to load a particular website, such as your web property. The inability to load a particular website such as your web property. So loading all the websites or loading all the web pages, files, whatever it may be. And sudden loss of connectivity across devices on the same network. Devices on the same network. So sudden loss of connectivity that across devices on the same network. So that gives, these are the some indications that we are measuring that this system is affected with the device attacks or not. And next, what is DDoS attack? So what is meant by DDoS attack? So it formed as distributed denial of service attack. It formed as distributed denial of service attack is a malicious attempt to disturb the normal traffic of a targeted server or service or network by overwhelming the target or its surrounding infrastructure with a flood of internet traffic. So what it would say, it is a malicious attempt to disturb the normal traffic of a targeted server, and it sends an instructions with the help of botnet mechanism. So botnet is nothing but it is a group of bots. So all the bots are instructed by the botnet. So what the instructions is going to say by the botnet, that all the bots will perform that instructions to attacking on the target system. So here DDoS attacks achieve effectiveness by utilizing multiple compromised computer systems as source of attack traffic. So all the systems are grouped together and they are compromised. They are compromised to attack on the target machine. So that is the main effective thing in the DDoS attack. And these grouped computers or compromised computers are going to attack on the target machine. So exploited machines can include computers and other networked resources such as IoT devices. So here from this diagram we have to understand that the attacker is going to attack on the machine with the targeted machine with the botnet. So this is the botnet server and it contains the compromised systems. All these systems are instructed by this botnet. And they will follow the instructions with the help of botnet. So now the botnet said that all the bots are going to attack on the targeted systems. So like the way the botnets are nothing but it's like a zombies. They are going to attack on the targeted mission with a group of compromised systems. So how does a DDoS attacks works actually? So these DDoS attacks are carried out with the networks of internet connected machines. So all the systems are connected with the internet. So that network of internet connected machines are carried out by the DDoS attacks. Because all the systems are get compromised with the help of internet connected mechanism. So these network consist of computers and other devices such as IoT devices which have been infected with malware. So we already said that the computers are get compromised. That means they have been infected with malware, allowing them to be controlled remotely by an attacker. So controlled remotely by attacker. So how attacker gives the instructions, the botnet or bots will do that all the instructions. So these individual devices are referred to as bots. Or zombies. And a group of bots is called as botnet. So once a botnet has been established, the attacker is able to direct an attack by sending remote instructions to each bot. So all the bots are ready to fight with all the bots are ready to attack on the targeted mission. Once botnet has been established, the attacker is able to direct an attack by sending some remote instructions to the each bot. So when a victim's server or network is targeted by the botnet, each bot sends some request to the target IP address. So potentially it causes the server or network to become overwhelmed, that resulting in a denial of service to the normal traffic. That resulting in a denial of service to the normal traffic. Because each bot is a legitimate internet device and that's operating the attack traffic from normal traffic can be difficult. So whenever the attacks are targeting on the machine, automatically it sends some flood of attacks, sends some flood of signals, so that gives a normal traffic, and it to be difficult. How to identify a DDoS attack? So how we are going to identify that DDoS attacks? The most obvious symptom of DDoS attack is a site or service suddenly becoming slow, or it becomes unavailable. So traffic analysis tools can help you to spot some of these telltale signs of DDoS attacks. So we can use some traffic analytical tools to monitor the traffic where the site becomes very slow or where the site became unavailable. So by observing that, we can say that these sites or these systems having an DDoS attack. So a flood of traffic from users who share a single behavioral profile, such as device type, geolocation, or web browser versions. So like some different types of behavioral profiles, a flood of traffic from users will get all these details. So what are the some common types of DDoS attacks? So we have seen till now a DDoS attack and a DDoS attacks, how it will work and how to identify. But there are some types of DDoS attacks are there. So here the application layer attacks, HTTP flood, protocol attacks, volumetric attacks are there. Application layer attacks, HTTP flood attacks, protocol attacks, and volumetric attacks. So here the application layer attacks. So how the attacks will be happen in the application layer? Those are DDoS attacks. The goal of these attacks is exhaust the target resources to create a denial of service. So they are simply send a multiple target requests to create a denial of service. So by sending multiple requests or multiple resources, automatically the service gets slow. The attacks target the layer where web pages are generated on the server and delivered in response to HTTP requests. So a single HTTP request is computationally cheap to execute on the client side, but it can be expensive for the target server to respond. So to make the request or to send the request to the server side, it is very cheap to execute on the client side, but it can be very expensive than for the target server. As the server often loads multiple files and runs database queries in order to create a web page. So it loads automatically databases queries and to create a web page. So application layer comes in the seventh part. So the layer 7 attacks are difficult to defend against, since it can be hard to differentiate malicious traffic from legitimate traffic. So what is a malicious traffic and it is a legitimate traffic? So differentiate between them is very hard. So here attacker sending some bots, sending some bots as a existing requests to the victim. So by using some HTTP get method or post method, by using some HTTP get method or post method. So automatically, once the request is sent to the target machine, automatically target victim is hand over the services to this attacker. So then the target websites or targeted web resources will get slow. The target website or target web resources will get slow. And second one, HTTP flood attacks. HTTP flood attacks. This attack is similar to the pressing a refresh in a web browser. So we are pressing every time refresh. We are doing refresh of a web browser, and over on many different computers at once. So doing a refresh of any website is more. It is a similar type of attack. And a large number of HTTP requests. So we are doing request means we are doing refresh means automatically HTTP request will flooding. HTTP request will flooding the server. That resulting in a denial of service. This type of attack ranges from simple to complex. Because we are doing a refresh for every website for every time. So if any website is get slow, automatically we are doing a refreshment of the website. So that gives the attack ranges from simple to complex. So if you do one time, that is a simple attack, but if you do more time, that there is a chance to get complex attacks. And simpler implementations may access one URL with the same range of attacking IP addresses. So the URL is same, but you are attacking refreshing on the page loading is multiple times. That means the range of attacking IP addresses is one, and refers and user agents. And protocol attacks. So protocol attacks is also known as state exhaustion attacks. It causes a service disruption by over consuming server resources and server resources of the network equipments like firewalls and load balancers. So this protocol attacks is also known as state exhaustion attacks. It causes service disruption by over consuming server resources. That means we are taking more number of times, we are using more number of server resources of the network component like firewalls and load balancers. And the protocol attacks they are utilizing the weakness in layer 3 and layer 4. So layer 3 and layer 4 of the protocol stack to render inaccessible. So the layer 3 and layer 4, there are some vulnerabilities. So using that weakness, they are going to suppose to render it inaccessible of the website. So here, so automatically we are saying that it is a state exhaustion attacks. It causes service disruption. So the bot will help you to attack on the target machine by sending some synchronous packets. That is nothing but spoofed packets. The spoofed packets are maybe the domain spoofed packets or IP spoofed packets. So once the packets are moving or targeting on the machine, automatically the target gets slow. The website or target IP address gets slow. So this is the HTTP flood attacks and protocol attacks. And volumetric attacks. So this category of attacks attempts to create a congestion by consuming all available bandwidth between target and the larger internet. So this type of category of attacks attempts to create congestion. That means there is a congestion is nothing but a lot of space are unavailable. Become unavailable. So it becomes unavailable by consuming all available bandwidth between the target and the internet. So large amount of data are sent to a target by using a form of amplification or another means of creating massive traffic. So one is in the form of amplification, or one is in the form of massive traffic. So such as requests from botnet, So this in this figure we are saying that the bots are attacking on the DNS resolver, and they are going to targeting on the machine. So that means they are creating congestion by consuming all available bandwidth. So all the available bandwidth will taken by this attacker, and he sends multiple bots to the target machine by the form of amplification or another means of creating massive traffic. So from this, what is meant by DNS amplification? So DNS amplification is like if someone were to call a restaurant and say, I will have one of everything, please call me back and repeat my whole order. So that means they are directing the message where the callback number actually belongs to the victim. So with very little effort, a long response is generated and sent to the victim. So by making this request to the open DNS server with spoofed IP addresses, the target IP address then receives a response from the server. Automatically, once the user is going to send a request to the server, automatically server can understand that request and they can able to send some response also. So from this, what is the difference between DOS and DDoS attacks? What we have to find. So the distinguishing difference between DOS and DDoS is the number of connections utilized in the attack. So the attacker is going to attack on the target machine with the number of connections that he is utilized. The number of connections he is going to utilize. So some DOS attack such as low and slow attacks like slow lorries derive their power in the simplicity and minimal requirements needed to them to be effective. So that means the attacker use a single systems or multiple systems. So using single systems and getting the server to be slow, and using multiple systems to getting that services to be low or slow. So here, then in the DOS attack, the number of connections or number of systems that are used only one are single. So only one system or single system attacker can utilize to targeting on the server. But in the DDoS attack, the attacker use multiple systems or multiple compromised systems to attack on the targeting machine. Multiple targeting systems attack on the targeting machine. And the DOS utilizes a single connection. While a DDoS attack utilizes many sources of attack traffic, often botnet. So generally speaking, many of the attacks are fundamentally similar and can be attempted using sources of malicious traffic. So many of the attacks are fundamentally similar, and can be attempted using some source of malicious traffic. So these are the difference between DOS and DDoS attacks. So once again we revise the topics which we discussed in this session. So what is meant by DOS attack, and what are the types of DOS attacks? So here, what is meant by DOS attack? It gives the connection to be very slow by attacking this attack on the target machine. So how it works actually? How it works in the system means they are sending the more number of requests. They are sending more number of requests that are suitable with the capacity of targeting machine. By overwhelming the system gets slow or denial service. So there are two types of attacks. One is buffer overflow attacks and flood attacks. And some historically significant DOS attacks are there. So those are a smurf attack and ping flood attack and a ping of death attacks. So how can we measure that the DOS attacks are there in the system? So by getting network performance is very slow, and the files and websites are getting loading very slow the websites are in the system, and the inability of the loading of particular websites or web properties is to be very slow, and a sudden loss of connectivity across devices on the same network will tell you that the system experiencing with the device attacks. And what is DDoS attack? Distributed denial of service attacks. So those are malicious attempts with the help of multiple systems attacking on the server. And how does a DDoS attacks works? So sending multiple botnets and targeting on the machine. So how to identify DDoS attacks are there? So it use some traffic analytical tools. It use some traffic analytical tools that helps to identify the DDoS attacks. What are the common types of DDoS attacks? Application layer attacks, HTTP flood attacks, protocol attacks, volumetric attacks. So all the different types of attacks are overwhelmed with the different types of flood requests. Overwhelmed with the different types of flood requests. So HTTP flood attacks, protocol attacks, and volumetric attacks. So volumetric attacks help with the help of DMS amplification. So amplification is nothing but spoofing of IP address or spoofing of DNS. And what is the difference between DOS attacks and the DDoS attacks? So these are the session. I hope all of you know about it. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.